What happens when Hollywood's most loved action star sits down for what should be a simple interview and ends up in the most explosive confrontation daytime television has ever seen? Today, we're diving into the moment that shocked millions of viewers and left one of television's most outspoken hosts storming off her own show in total embarrassment. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments because this story is absolutely wild. The View studio was buzzing with its usual energy as the cameras prepared to roll for another episode. Joy Behar sat at the famous table, shuffling her notes with that familiar smirk she always wore when she was particularly excited about challenging a guest. Harrison Ford had been invited to promote his newest movie. What should have been a routine celebrity interview that the producers expected to go smoothly quickly took a sharp turn. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legendary Harrison Ford, Whoopi Goldberg announced as the audience erupted in applause. Ford walked out with his usual casual confidence, waving at the crowd before taking his seat across from the panel. His weathered face carried that signature half-smile that had won over audiences for decades. "Harrison, welcome back to The View," Sarah Haynes said warmly. "It's always such a pleasure to have you here." "Thanks for having me," Ford replied in his familiar gravelly voice, settling into his chair. "Though I have to admit, I'm always a bit nervous sitting at this table. You ladies have quite the reputation for asking the tough questions." The audience chuckled, but Joy Behar leaned forward with a sparkle in her eye that suggested she was about to prove his point. "Speaking of tough questions, Harrison, I have to ask about your recent remarks on environmental activism. You've been very vocal about climate change, yet you own multiple aircraft and fly them regularly. Isn't that a bit hypocritical?" Ford's smile faded slightly, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. "Well, Joy, that's a fair question, but it's more complicated than it sounds. I use my aircraft for conservation work, transporting researchers and supplies to remote areas where we're doing environmental monitoring. It's not exactly for weekend fun." "Oh, please," Joy scoffed, waving her hand dismissively. "That's what every rich celebrity says when they're called out for their carbon footprint." "You're telling me Harrison Ford, with all his resources, couldn't find more eco-friendly ways to support conservation?" The studio felt colder suddenly. Sun On, the host, shifted uneasily, and Alyssa Farah Griffin's eyes widened slightly. This was not the playful banter anyone had expected. Ford straightened in his chair, his voice growing firmer. "Actually, Joy, I've been doing conservation work for over 30 years. I've funded countless projects, and yes, sometimes that requires getting to places where there are no roads or commercial flights. But I appreciate your concern for my carbon footprint." "Concern?" Joy laughed, but there was an ugly edge to it. "No, I'm calling you out. You Hollywood types are all the same. Preaching to everyone about saving the planet while you live in mansions and fly private jets. That's virtue signaling at its finest." The audience went completely silent. Even Whoopi, who usually stayed in control, seemed shocked by Joy's aggressive tone. Ford's eyes grew cold, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of decades dealing with tough situations. "I think you have me confused with someone else, Joy. I don't live in a mansion. I live on a ranch in Wyoming where I do actual conservation work. I don't fly around in private jets for fun. I use aircraft as tools for my work. But most importantly, I don't come on TV to attack people I've never met and know nothing about." Joy's face flushed red, but she doubled down. "Oh, I've been in this business longer than most people have been alive, Harrison. I know exactly what I'm talking about, and what I'm talking about is hypocrisy." "No," Ford said quietly, his voice cutting through the tension. "What you're talking about is making assumptions and attacking someone based on those assumptions. That's not journalism. That's just mean-spirited." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Joy's mouth opened and closed in shock. The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear. "Mean-spirited?" Joy finally sputtered. "I'm asking real questions about environmental responsibility. If you can't handle tough questions, maybe you shouldn't come on talk shows." Ford leaned back, studying Joy with the same intensity he once used as Indiana Jones interrogating suspects. I can handle tough questions, Joy. What I have trouble with is rudeness disguised as journalism. There's a difference between asking hard questions and being deliberately hostile. Hostile? Joy's voice rose. I'm being real. I'm being honest. Something this town doesn't see enough of. Being real. Ford repeated slowly, as if savoring the words. Is that what you call interrupting a guest, making accusations without facts, and generally acting like you have a personal grudge against someone you've never met? The audience was completely captivated, watching this verbal duel like a car crash they couldn't look away from. Joy's face went from red to purple, and her hands clenched the table. I don't have a grudge against you, she said through gritted teeth. I have a problem with celebrities who lectured the rest of us while living completely different lives. And I have a problem, Joy, Ford said calmly, with talk show hosts who attack their guests and call it entertainment. The silence was deafening. You could hear a pin drop. Joy's eyes flashed with something dangerous. Attack. She hissed. You think this is an attack? You clearly don't know what real journalism looks like, Harrison. Maybe you've been in Hollywood so long that everyone kisses your feet and tells you how great you are. Ford's eyebrows lifted slightly, amusement flickering briefly in his eyes. Actually, Joy, I've been doing interviews for over 40 years. I can tell the difference between a journalist asking tough questions and someone looking for a fight. Right now, you're looking for a fight. I'm looking for honesty, Joy shot back, her voice getting higher. Something that seems rare when celebrities appear on shows. You want to talk about your conservation work? Fine. Let's talk about the fuel your planes burn. Joy, Whoopi finally spoke, trying to regain control. Maybe we should. No, Joy interrupted without even looking at her. I'm not done. Harrison, how much fuel does one of your planes burn per flight? Do you even know? Do you care? Ford studied her for a moment. A Cessna 180 burns about 12 gallons an hour. My larger aircraft burns more for longer conservation missions. But it allows me to transport people and equipment that would otherwise require multiple vehicles or be inaccessible. But something tells me you're not really interested in details. Oh, I'm very interested, Joy said with a nasty smile. 12 gallons an hour. That's more than most people use in their cars in a week. And you lecture people about the environment? I'm not lecturing anyone, Ford replied. I fund environmental research, work with organizations, and sometimes that requires transportation. But I'm curious, Joy, what's your environmental footprint? How did you get to work today? Joy stumbled over her words. That's not the point. I'm not giving speeches about climate change. Actually, Ford said with a slight smile, that's exactly the point. You're criticizing me for something you know nothing about while not holding yourself to the same standards. That's the real hypocrisy. Joy's face twisted with rage. Don't turn this on me. I'm not pretending to be an environmental saint while burning fuel like there's no tomorrow. Environmental saint? Ford's voice remained calm but firm. Joy, I've never claimed to be perfect. I just care about conservation and put my time and money into it. But you seem determined to make me a villain for using tools to do my work. Tools? Joy laughed bitterly. Is that what we're calling planes now? A saw is a tool, Ford said patiently. A hammer is a tool. A vehicle is a tool. An aircraft is a tool. They help you accomplish a task. And in my case, that work has protected hundreds of thousands of acres and countless species. I'm comfortable with that math. I'm comfortable with that math, Joy mocked. How convenient. I bet you're comfortable with a lot when you can afford it. The other hosts looked distressed. Sarah Haynes fidgeted with her cards. Some non-host stared in horror. Even Whoopi seemed lost. You know what, Joy? Ford said, patience thinning. I came to talk about a movie, to have a conversation with intelligent people. I didn't come to be ambushed by someone holding a personal vendetta against people trying to make a difference. Vendetta? Joy's voice cracked. You think this is personal? This isn't personal. It's principally calling out Hollywood hypocrisy. No, Joy, Ford said firmly. This is personal. This is you taking out frustrations on someone who didn't deserve it. And frankly, it's beneath this show and everyone at this table. The camera caught Joy's composure shattering. Her face went white, then red, then white again. How dare you? She whispered. How dare you come into my workplace and lecture me? You don't know me. You don't know what I've done. You're right, Ford said. I don't know you personally, but I know what I've seen today. You invited a guest and spent the whole time trying to humiliate him. That's not the behavior of someone who cares about this industry or show. Joy stood abruptly, chair rolling back. That's it, she shouted. I don't have to listen to this from some washed-up action star who thinks he's better than everyone else. The audience gasped. Ford stayed seated, expression firm. Washed up, he repeated slowly. Professional. Professional? Joy exploded. All pretense gone. Professional would be admitting you're a hypocrite instead of acting like some environmental hero while burning fuel like crazy. Joy, Whoopi tried. Maybe we should. No break. Joy snapped. I'm done. I'm done with this interview, this guest, and this show. The studio went silent except for Joy's heavy breathing. Ford remained standing, watching her meltdown calmly. You're done with the show? Sarah Haynes asked softly. Yes, Joy said, manic. I quit. I won't sit here and be treated like this. Find another host willing to put up with arrogant celebrities humiliating the people who made them famous. Whoopi tried one last time. Please, let's just nothing, Joy snarled, tossing her microphone. I'm done. 30 years in this business and this is what I get: a disrespect from some guy pretending to save the planet. Ford finally spoke, calm and measured. Joy, I never disrespected you. I disagreed. I defended myself when attacked. If you can't tell the difference, maybe this isn't the right job for you. The words hit Joy. She swayed, face cycling through shock, rage, humiliation, panic. Without another word, she walked off set. Her footsteps echoed in stunned silence. The camera stayed on the remaining hosts. Ford sat back, adjusting his jacket as if nothing happened. Well, Whoopi said quietly, this is live TV for you. Ford looked at the camera, serious and calm. I apologize to viewers for what happened. That wasn't my intention. I wanted to talk about my work and clear misconceptions. I hope people look into real conservation efforts rather than personality conflicts. Sarah Haynes nodded. Thank you for staying professional, Harrison. Ford smiled faintly. Sometimes, the most professional thing is telling the truth and letting people decide what they think. And that's how one of the most explosive confrontations in daytime TV history ended. Harrison Ford calm at the table, while Joy Behar's career imploded in real time before millions of viewers. What do you think of Harrison Ford's handling of this situation? Subscribe and tell us in the comments whether you think he was too harsh or if Joy finally got what was coming to her.